Hey there, Geometry. Thanks for tuning in with another episode of Math with Mullins. Today we're going to be talking about our test review today. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get started on those questions from your review sheet. So let's get started. Number 1, draw a ray that has an initial point of D and goes through B. And we do want to make it a ray, so we just want to make sure B is the end point of that and D is the starting point of that. For number 2, it says draw a segment with endpoints of J and K with M between the 2 points, and using correct notation, write a segment addition equation for the diagram. So we have a segment J and K, and then point M should be between them. So what you would need to do to write that equation, Jm plus Mk, and you can have the segment lines on top, is equal to Jk. Number 3, draw a ray with an initial point R and goes through S. Draw another ray with the initial point R and goes through T. Using correct notation, write the name of the angle that is created. So a ray that's point R would start like this, going to point S, and then doing the same thing to point T. And then we can name this angle as angle SRT. You could also reverse that and say this is angle TRS. Just to make sure that you're including all 3 of those letters. These are the 2 ways we'd want to do that. Draw an obtuse angle with an initial point A. So maybe we can do, that doesn't look obtuse. I'm going to make that a little bit larger. There we go. Initial point A has to be the vertex. So you could say A is here, and then maybe C is here, and B is here. Number 5, 6, and 7, we are using these coordinates to find the midpoint first, and then find the length of that segment. So the midpoint for number 5, remember we do that by adding our x's. So x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and then the same thing for your y's. So that'd be 4 plus -6, that's -2, divided by 2, that's -1. And then same thing for -8 plus 6, that's -2 again, divided by 2 is also -1. So your midpoint is -1, 1. And then to find the length of your segment, you're also going to practice the distance formula. So remember that distance formula is your change in x squared. So let's go and do that first. I'm going to do 4 minus -6, which is 10. And then we have 10 squared, which is 100, plus -8 minus 6, that's -14 squared. And grabbing my calculator really quickly, 14 squared should be 196. So I have 100 plus 196, and then I'll find the square root of that. That'll be 296, or square root of 296, which is equal to, one moment please, sorry, 296 square root, about 17.2. Okay. For this next one, again, we want to find the midpoint, so we're adding our x's together, dividing by 2, that'd be 0, and then the same thing for the y. Okay, yes, they're equal to 0 when you add them, and just divide by 2 still gives you 0. And then to find the distance of those, 2 minus -2, that is 4 squared, plus 9 minus -9, that's 18 squared. And then that'll give us 16 plus 18 squared, 18. My calculator is not wanting to work today. That's 324. So we're just going to add 324 and 16 together, and then find the square root of that, getting about 18.4. Okay. And again, I'm just rounding those. The last one, add together your points first, divide by 2 to find the midpoint. 3 plus -1 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then 10 plus -6 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So your midpoint is 1, 2. The distance, 3 minus -1, that is 4 squared. 10 minus -6 is 16 squared. So I'm going to have the square root of 4 squared plus 16 squared. That means square root of 16. And then 16 squared, I believe, is 256. Yep. And then add those together, plus 16 gives me 272. So I'm just finding the square root of 272, which is about 16.5 rounded. Okay. Onward to 8, 9, and 10. BD is intersecting angle ABC, so find the value of x. So because this is bisecting means they're equivalent sides. So that means we're going to set this equation up to be 2x is equal to x plus 15, and then just solve for x. Subtract x from both sides. X is equal to 15 for number 8. Number 9, put a box around this. 4x is equal to 2x plus 30. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, so that means I'm going to get 2x is equal to 30. This one is also x equals 15. And then our last one, I have 18 minus x equals 26 minus 3x. This one, I added 3x to the left side and subtracted 18 to the right side, which means I would get 2x is equal to 26 minus 18 is 8. So that means x is equal to 4 for number 10. For this next section, use the diagram to solve for the missing angle measure. So for number 11, if the measure of angle 1 is 25, then angle 3 is also 25 because these are vertical degrees or vertical angles. Number 12, the measure of angle 92 is 95 degrees. So what's the measure of angle 1? We would just have to do 180 minus 95 to find that answer, and that would give us 85. And then for number 13, if the measure of angle 4 is 130, then the measure of angle 2 would also be 130 because those are vertical angles. Flipping on over to question number 14, find the values of the variables. So with these, we just want to set them equivalent to one another with those vertical angles. Notice how 2x is equal to 38. So all you had to do there was divide 38 by 2. So x is equal to 19 for that one. And then 2y plus 4 is equal to 3y minus 65. So I'm going to come over here and show my work. 2y plus 4 equals 3y minus 65. We're going to subtract 3y minus 4. And then we'll get negative y is equal to negative 69. So y is equal to 69 for that one. Number 15, again, setting these equivalent would not work just because now your y's are on the same side. And if you notice, the y's are making a straight line, so that's equal to 100 degrees. And so are the x's. Let's start with our y's. 2y plus 2 plus 5y minus 25 equals 180. Combining like terms, I get 7y minus 23 equals 180. Now I'm going to add 23 to both sides. 180 plus 23 is 203. And then if I divide that by 7, I'm going to get y is equal to 29. Okay. For this next one, though, my x values, again, adding them together. I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms for my x values just to save some time and work. 4x plus 2x is 6x. 10 and 20 makes 30 equals 180. That's straight angle one more time. So 6x, whoops. Hello. Sorry. 6x equals 150. So you're just taking that 150, dividing it by 6, and you will get x equals 25. Okay. Onward here, 16, 17, and 18 using the diagram. If measure of angle 1 is 37, then what is the measure of angle 2? That is a vertical angle, so 2 is also going to be 37 degrees. Number 4, measure of angle 4 is 72, and the measure of angle 5 is 43. Then the measure of angle 1 just has to be where they add together and are equal to 180 because they're making a straight line. So that would be 43 plus 72, which is 43, that's messed up. 43 plus 72, I'm getting 115. So whatever is this left over, I just subtract that from 180, and I'm going to get 65. And then our last one, if measure 2 equals measure 6, which is equal to x, so 2 and 6 are equaling to x, then what would be the measure of angle 3? The measure of angle 3 can be found if we take 180 and subtract 2 of those x's. So this one, we just have an expression here. We don't necessarily know if 3 matches 2 and 6, so that's why we're going to use the expression take 180 and subtract 2x. Okay. Now we're going to move on to 19, 20, and 21. State whether the given angles are linear, vertical, or neither. So using the same diagram, 1 and 2 are vertical. 2 and 3 are neither. They're adjacent, but we don't get that option here. And then 5 and 7 is here. So these are considered linear because they are on the same line. Our last stop, or one of our last stops, we still have a few more. Let Q be the interior of PQR. Sketch a diagram using the angle addition postulate to solve for x, and then find the measure of each angle. So we have POR, but Q is the interior of that. So let's start here. This is PQR, and then we'll say, this is POR, and then this is Q. So POQ is 3x plus 7, QOR is 5x minus 2, and then PQR, the whole thing, is equal to 61. So what we need to do is add these two angles together and then set it equal to the whole thing of 61. 3x plus 5x is 8x. 7 plus negative 2 is 5. So that's equal to 61. And then we just start solving. Subtract 5 from both sides. We get 8x is equal to 56. X is equal to 7. So we can plug that into each of those statements. 3 times 7 is 21. So 21 plus 7 is 28 degrees. And then 5 times 7 is 35. 35 minus 2 is 33 degrees. And that should add up to 61, and it does. Same thing over here. We have our angles still drawn as P, O, R, and Q is here in the middle. We have both of these being added together equals 5x minus 1. So what we would want to do is add those together first and then solve for x. So POQ is 1/3 x plus 1/3 plus QOR 2x plus 4/3 equals 5x minus 1. I'm going to have to shorten that a little bit. I'm going to go and add 1/3 and 4/3. That will give me 5/3. And then 2x plus 1/3 x is 2 and 1/3 x. Okay. Or if you wanted to, you can also label it as 5/3 x. So 5/3 x plus 5/3 is equal to 5x minus 1. I'm going to subtract 1 from both, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So I'm going to put all my x's to the right. So this 5/3 could also be written as 1 and 2/3. So 1 and 2/3 plus another one is 2 and 2/3. And then this 2 and 1/3, which is at 5/3. I'm going to erase this because I don't want us to get confused here. Whoops. Okay. Back to that. 2 and 1/3 x. I'm going to subtract it from the 5x. So I know 5x, or 5 minus 2 would be 3, and then subtract another, that'd be 2 and 2/3 x. And then right here, you'd be able to see that x is equal to 1. So to now find the measure of each angle, I'm just going to plug in 1 where I have an x. So POQ is 1/3 plus 1/3, that's 2/3. And I know fractions are never everyone's favorite, but we're learning to deal. And then QOR, we just plug in that 1/3 there. So that's 2 and 1/3 plus 4/3, or 5/3 plus 4/3, that'd be 10/3. And then for this one, plugging in the 1, 5 times 1 is 5, minus 1 is 4. Okay. 24. Suppose J is between H and K. Sketch a diagram to use the segment addition postulate to solve for X, then find the length of each segment. So J is in between H and K. So here's H and K, H, K, and here is J. And to find the length of each segment, we would want to first start by labeling. HJ is 5x minus 3, and JK is 8x minus 9, and that's all added together to be 131. So what I do is start to combine like terms. 8x plus 5x is 13x, negative 3, negative 9 is negative 12, and that's equal to 131. Then I'm going to add 12 to 131. So 131 plus 12 is 143. So now I have 13x equals 143. And then I'm going to divide that by 13. X is equal to 11. So I would just plug in 11 where I have my x. That's 55 minus 3. That's 52 for HJ. And for JK, that is 88 minus 9, which is 79. Okay, together, they should add it together to be equal to 131. Same thing here. Notice we do have some distribution. So this is actually 3x plus 6 plus 3x minus 4 equals 44. Okay, combine like terms. 6x plus 2 equals 44. 6x is equal to 42. X is equal to 7. So plugging in those, I'm going to have 7 plus 2. Sorry for the interruption. Since x is equal to 7, I'm now just going to plug it back into these two examples. 3x plus 2, that's 7 plus 2, that's 9. So 3 times 9 is 27 for HJ. And then for 3x minus 4 for JK, that's 3 times 7, that's 21. And 21 minus 4 is going to give us 17 for segment JK. Okay. Our last two, 26 and 27, angle A is complementary to angle C and supplementary to angle B. So find the measures of A, B, and C. So let's go ahead and start with A and C here. If we have the measure of angle A and then the measure of angle C, they're needing to be complementary. So that x plus x minus 50 is equal to 90. So that means 2x minus 50 equals 90. If I add 50 to 90, that's 2x is equal to 140. So that means x is equal to 70. So the measure of angle A is 70 degrees, and the measure of angle C is 20 degrees. That also means we can find the measure of angle B. So if we plug in the 70 where the x is, that is 110. Okay. Or do the same thing down here for question 27. Again, angle A and angle C are complementary, so x plus x minus 30 equals 90. That is 2x minus 30 equals 90, or 2x equals 120. So in this case, x is equal to 60. Since we know that x is equal to 60 for 27, the measure of angle A is 60 degrees, the measure of angle C is 30 degrees, and then 2 times 60 would be the measure of B, which is 120 degrees. That is going to conclude our review of Chapter 1. Hope this helped you prepare for your test tomorrow, and good luck with your Chapter 1 test.